Everybody, good morning and happy Tuesday. Dan Kasper Show is on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. You can also check us out online, sportstalk1051.com, where you can get the YouTube live video stream link up there too if you'd rather do that. Otherwise, you get your Google and Alexa home devices. And, of course, the Sports Talk app. Happy Grind My Gears Tuesday. Tradition, not like any other. What's grinding your gears here, peeps? This is your one day only that you can hit us up with some text, some tweets, some Facebook, some comments on YouTube with what's grinding your gears. What's grinding your gears? Get it off your chest. All that good stuff. So you can start doing that at any time right now up until 9 a.m. if you wish to do so. It is also a Turn 2 Tuesday. Get to that Turn 2 question in just a little bit here. But I'll kind of just, got a mixed bag of tricks, mixed bag of some topics here coming at you this morning. We'll chat some Badgers with RJ Cardinal a little over 2 hours from now. I know Wisconsin Hall of Fame class, all that stuff. So we'll chat all things Badgers as we inch a little bit closer to college football season, believe it or not. Yep, it's going to be talking about that, starting to trickle in a little bit more with some odds and some favorites and all that good stuff. We'll also chat a little Eau Claire Express since it is a Tuesday. The Express right now, if you're looking at the schedule going up against Duluth, they'll be at home tonight for the next few games here with the series against Duluth. Right now, the Express leading their division, the Great Plains East, in the second half, 5-1 start over the Lacrosse Loggers. 2 games up on the Lacrosse Loggers right now. So we'll catch up on some Express talk and put it on your schedule since we just mentioned the Express there. July 28th will be Sports Talk nights. And I've got, I'm holding them right now, stack of ticks, okay, a little stack of tickets here. We're going to have a little fun with this. We're going to like have our own, let's see if we can get our own little area there. And we're going to make that Carson Park Stadium loud. You know what I mean? We're gonna show them how you get a crowd riled up and get a little momentum going and all that good stuff. So, but put it on your schedule, July 28th. I've got plenty of tickets to hand out to you. We'll do that in the coming days here. So don't fret. Just make sure you clear your schedule for July 28th. All right. Speaking of baseball, Brewers will be back in action tonight, taking on the Twinnies on the road with a little 2-game set before they head off to the West Coast for 4 games against the Giants before the All-Star break. So Brewers taking Twins on tonight at 6:40. His first pitch. Coverage will begin on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM, about 35 minutes prior. Jason Alexander is going to be on the mound for the Brew Crew, getting the ball, getting the starts for the Brewers tonight, taking his 2-1 record and his 4.75 ERA over to Minnesota, where the Brewers will face Josh Winder too. So, not any experience between these lineups, these offensive lineups with these pitchers. So both going a little bit, as we like to say in the football world, an uncommon opponent, right? So I got that. Take a look at that here a little bit. Speaking of, baseball too, getting closer to that trade deadline. We know on August 2nd, MLB.com has the biggest, has an article up, every team's biggest trade deadline need. Biggest need. Since it is Brewers Twins, I don't think a lot of Twins fans would disagree with their pick. It's the bullpen. Minnesota's rotation ranks 6th in the American League in ERA, but its bullpen falls within the lower half of the league and has suffered 17 blown saves this season. The Twins have some talented arms in the pen, but they lack the experience that can be often valuable come October. Adding a veteran reliever or two with a track record would round out the group nicely. I feel like the majority of Twins fans would probably agree, but if you don't, let us know. Brewers, center field. Milwaukee is still searching for its replacement for Lorenzo Cain, who was designated for assignment last month. The Brewers' top 3 prospects are all outfielders, but they're not close to the majors just yet. Bryce Terang, the team's number 5 prospect, could be used to add an outfielder as the Brewers have depth at shortstop with Willie Adames and Luis Urias. So, Brewers fans, Bryce Terang, who's in AAA right now, can play short, can play second. Would you be good giving up your 5th overall prospect for a center fielder who could play right now? Or would you, like to see maybe Bryce Terang possibly, maybe could be a major league player next year? I'm just kind of thinking, okay, he played short, he could play a little second. Colton Wong, I believe it's in his final year of his contract. Maybe you slide Luis Urias over there, or maybe you put Bryce Terang as your second baseman. I don't know, or can Terang go over to third? Yeah, a couple options there. Or, would you like to see the Brewers, or would you be okay, I should say, is the best way to say it. Would you be okay if the Brewers traded their 5th overall prospect, who's an infielder, shortstop, second baseman, for a center fielder, also while knowing that their top 3 prospects right now, top 4 prospects according to the latest rankings, top 4 prospects are all outfielders. The only caveat to this is that none of them are in AAA. So they would take quite a bit of a jump. You'd be waiting a few more years. Or would you maybe trade one of those outfielders for an outfielder that you can get to play right now? Do you agree that center field is the number 1 priority for the Brewers right now? I think I would. Center fielder that not only just plays defense out there, but obviously we get a little bit of a bat with it too. A little bit of a consistent bat over there too. So, all right. Also, we're gonna throw in a little one other note here too. So next week we got the All-Star break. Okay, so next week we don't got a whole lot going on. No baseball. Obviously, we're getting a little bit closer to training camp. You got summer league with basketball going on. So it's a little bit of a quiet time. So next week I want to do something fun. Excuse me, I'm choking up this morning. So remember a couple years ago, right when COVID hit, we did the all-time NFL draft, and it was a lot of fun. A lot of you participated. We drafted our all-time NFL teams. Well, next week I want to do an all-time Major League Baseball draft. So if anybody is interested, let me know. You can just shoot me a text. I'll try to keep tabs of them all. But we'll see how many we get signed up, and if we have to lower the amount, then we'll just have to do a random drawing there. But I'm looking at doing, let's say, like a Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, No, let's do like a Tuesday, Wednesday sort of thing. Anyways, 2 days worth of drafting. Okay, I'll nail down the dates later on this week. But 2 days worth of drafting, you just got to dedicate like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. So you're listening. It's kind of like when we do our mock draft when it comes to the football season, or when we did the all-time draft, text in your picks when you're on the clock, that sort of thing. We'll draft all the position players. We'll do a DH. We'll do a starting pitcher. We'll do a relief pitcher, and we'll do a closer. Okay? Just kind of simple like that. So you would probably do it 2 days worth. We could do that in 2 days, right? We don't need to add any more days on there. But if anybody's up for that, let me know. I'm taking some signups right now. You can just hit me up with a text, though, on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. So we got that. Mentioned we're getting closer to training camp here in a couple weeks. So you're starting to see everybody's got their rankings out, right? They've got their was it ESPN's now got the top 10 players at certain positions based off of NFL execs and front office people. So you're starting to see some players, if you're on Twitter, you're starting to see some players, like getting a little frustrated or annoyed, like, why am I not on that top 10? Or maybe they'll use it as motivation. Maybe they'll use it, pin it on the locker room. I don't know. But it's based off of execs, coaches, player votes, that sort of thing. Could be a popularity contest mixed in there, whatever. Aaron Rodgers was named the number 1 quarterback. Patrick Mahomes 2, Josh Allen 3, Tom Brady 4, Joe Burrow 5, Matthew Stafford 6, Justin Herbert 7, Russell Wilson 8, Deshaun Watson 9, Dak Prescott 10. My question, do you agree with that top 10? Do you agree with the top 10? Who do you think should be in the top 10? You don't have to necessarily give me your rankings, but would you put a Lamar Jackson, who does have an MVP to his name, would you put him in the top 10? If you do, who do you take out? Do you put like a Kyler Murray in there? Do you put, anybody else that you can kind of think of? Anybody else that you think deserves to be in the top 10, or you're like, you know what? I agree with that top 10. Maybe I'd shuffle around a couple of different players here and there. But for the most, yeah, I would agree with that top 10. Yay or nay? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And who would you add in? Like if you're telling me that you would put Lamar Jackson in there, because that seems to be the most popular name out there, that maybe some people have a little bit of a grind my gear. Okay, so if you're going to put Lamar in, who do you take out? Dak? Deshaun? Because maybe he won't even play this year. So think about that for a little bit, and it got me thinking too as we approach training camp. And this is one where I'll tell you what, it took me a little bit, and I still don't like it. I'm still not sold even on my top 10 list here. But entering training camp right now, the top 10, if you had to rank them, top 10 Packers on this current team right now. I mean, number 1's easy, unless somebody makes the case for somebody other than Aaron Rodgers. But if you had to pick players, top 10 players, because I know you could, if we just said top 10 Packers, I think you can make a case if you wanted to put coaches in there. A big year for Matt LaFleur to kind of showcase his offensive play calling skills. Even Joe Barry with a lot of excitement surrounding the defense. Important season for him too. Important season for both play callers there. But if we keep it to just the top 10 players, how would your list go? And knowing me, I'll give you top 10, but I went 12 with the caveat that because Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins are in my top 10. Okay. But if they're not healthy, then I just added a couple more that you take them out and you slide 2 more back in the top 10. You know what I mean? But I still put them in my top 10. So I got my top 10, then the next couple after that. But I'll tell you, after, it's even when I started at 2, made me think a little bit here. And just kind of looking at it, I mean, I think, you got a clear number 1, but then I think it's up for debate on who the number 2 through 10 players are. So maybe that's the better question. Instead of your top 10, who's your 2 through 10? Do you go with an offensive lineman? Is it Bakhtiari or is it Elton Jenkins? Is it Jair coming off of an injury? Would you still put him at number 2? Kenny Clark, Sean Gary, Aaron Jones, who could potentially have a bigger role this year in that offense. Devondre Campbell, he didn't make it. I know he's one of the players on social media and on Twitter that's, like, come on with that top 10. Dude made first team All-Pro last year. Now listed as a top 10 player. That's why it could be a little bit of a popularity contest. Same with Adrian Amos. He was another one. It's like, man, no respect. But I think it's interesting because when I made my list here, and again, I'm not 100% sold on it, but this might be one of the first times where I'll tell you right now, there's more defensive players on here than there is offense. And some of these guys are, a couple of them coming back from injury too. So I don't know. But I think an interesting question here is Jenkins or Bach? Which offensive lineman is more important for this team? We know Bakhtiari, left tackle, when he's prime and he's healthy and he's ready to go, he's one of the best left tackles in the game. But you got Elton Jenkins, who did a pretty darn good job over there, and that versatility, and younger. Do you value that versatility within that offensive line? But at the same time, if Bakhtiari's not playing Elton Jenkins, he's playing left tackle. So I don't know. I might still have to change it. So I'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. But let me know your top 10. Or if you just want to slim it down to top 5, that's cool. That's cool. So I got that. And it is day one of the fair, right? Northern Wisconsin State Fair. So let's have a little fun with that. What was your favorite part of the best part of going to the fair? Whether it's the food, whether it's the games, whether it's the rides, even if you were just want to like do a little throwback to your childhood, what was the best part of going to the fair for you? All right. What was your favorite thing about going to the fair? All right, let's get things rolling here this morning. Wisconsin Credit Union opening drive coming up. Let's just do a little bit of a smorgasbord of topics, okay? Let's see where the conversation takes us, right? So I'm sure we've got a few texts coming in there. We'll throw in a little baseball. We'll throw in a little football chat, all that good stuff. I threw a lot at you. Already, so hit me up with some texts. 715-830-1912. Let's take that first break, and then let's get things rolling on a Grind My Gears Tuesday after these quick words.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back after these words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
housekeeping things. So we're getting ready for fantasy football season, right? So we've got a few of you who signed up so far, but head to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Click on that Nation tab. And if you want to join in our fantasy football league, sign up. And then in the coming days, I will send you the link. We'll email you the link to where you go to register your team. Just doing this kind of sign up to see how many people we get signed up, how many, how we're going to build this sort of thing and all that good stuff. So it's kind of like a head count. All right. It's kind of like a head count, but that's where I need you all to go to sportstalk1051.com. Click on that Nation tab, and then you'll see the little icon there. It's the Pro Football Happy Hour icon, but it says fantasy football. Boom. Enter your email. Pretty much it. Okay. Then I can send you an email in the next few days here with the league info to register your team. So I need a head count right now. That's what this purpose is for. So make sure you do that. If you want me to text you the link, just shoot me a text. Okay. Shoot me a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. I can do that for you at some point here this morning if I don't get too distracted here. And then speaking of the golf, forgot our own golf outing, Casper Classic here. I want to give a shout out. We've been getting some more donations. How about this? Bow Hunters. You might like this one. HHA sites out of Wisconsin Rapids. If you got a bow, you might have an HHA site on there with a nice donation. So big thanks to HHA with the donation of they're known for their one pin sites. A lot of you probably have them on there. So, but they're based out of Wisconsin Rapids over there too. So thank you for that donation. Anybody else out there wanted to do a little donation for some prize giveaways? Hit me up. All right, hit me up. And with the Casper Classic, obviously funds are going to Backyard Dreams, and because of all of you, the G-Man, C-Bomb, Surveyor Sam, Living a Dream Jeff, all of you. I know I can't say everybody's name on here, but because of your help, we were able to make a $1,000 donation yesterday to Roosevelt Elementary School here in Eau Claire. They're trying to raise some funds for some new playground equipment and such. So it's been going on for a few months. So because of all of your help and all of your contributions, we were able to give some funds back to the community, within the community, going to Roosevelt Elementary School. So big thanks to all of you out there for supporting Backyard Dreams over there. And that's why we're doing the outing next month too, is to raise some more money and help out, whether it's sending somebody to a Bucks game or helping somebody with getting some equipment for sports. Don't matter. If you know anybody or anything that needs a little bit of help too, I want to hear about it. So you can find out more info at sportstalk1051.com. All right, we got a couple of texts here. Steve from Eau Claire, right away early this morning. Dan, is a Brewer win over the Twins as sweet as a Packers win over the Vikings? No. At least not for me. I just, there isn't that rivalry. I feel like there isn't that rivalry. Like I'm a Brewers fan. That's my number one team. But the fact that, the Twins are in the American League and don't see them that often. I mean, I don't hate the Twins. I hope they go. I would love to see a Twins and Brewers World Series. I would love to see that. I don't think there's that rivalry there. Now, maybe it's different for some others out there. But no, for me, I don't think no. It's always sweeter. I will 10 times out of 10 for me, Steve, it'll be a Packers win over a Viking is way sweeter than a Brewers win over the Twins. I don't know. Maybe other people feel differently. G-Man, yes, sir. We will raise a lot of money for Backyard Dreams. You know it there, big boy. Surveyor Sam, what's the best fair food? Mine is either corn dogs or mini donuts. Intern stuck his head in here and said his favorite back in the day when he was a youngster, or maybe it was just last year, the Tunnel of Love. I gotta go with the curds. Curds. It's always cheese curds. Cheese curds, cheese curds, cheese curds. game-wise, I still wish maybe some of them have it, but I remember as a wee lad, as a young one over there at the Taylor County Fair in Medford, I know they still have this game, but the prizes, the balloons with the darts, and you got to throw the darts and pop the balloons. But the prizes were always those like mini pictures, right? With the paper frame. It had a glass cover, but it was always like, I remember always walking by and like, okay, what kind of pictures they got this year? Oh, they got Shaq. I want the Shaq one. Or, whether it was a Packer one or something like that. Wish they'd bring those pictures back. I haven't seen them. And maybe I'm just not going to the right ones, or maybe I'm just not paying attention. But that's like, I would deck out the studio with all those things, or the man cave with some sweet pictures like that. Throwing the darts and getting those frames. I would love that. You guys remember that? Those little, I had a boatload of those as a kid. Those cheap paper frames, but they had the glass front and then the picture. It's because it's always easy to get them too. Unless you really, really wanted like the big one, then you had to spend a little bit more there. But that was my favorite one. Wish I could see that more so I can deck out the studio with some more of those pictures. Surveyor's top 10 players: Rogers, Jair, Bakhtiari, Campbell, Jenkins, Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, Mason Crosby, Aaron Jones. Seabomb's his top. Seabomb is alive. Okay. Aaron Rodgers, Jair, Kenny Clark, Jenkins, Aaron Jones, Quadzilla, Stokes, Lazard, Bakhtiari, Tunyon. That's an interesting top 10 there, Seabomb. That's an interesting top 10. Who else? What else do you guys got top 10 Packers right now? If you had to put it, because everybody's doing top 10s. Everybody's doing top 10 quarterbacks in the league. ESPN's got their top 10 list based off of coaches and front office people and players and all that. The quarterbacks, they had Rodgers at number 1. I think the big one that everybody's kind of saying that there's no Lamar Jackson, but to that I will say, who do you take out of that top 10? Maybe you take out Deshaun Watson. You don't know if he's going to play, but I think they're kind of still going based off of, if he does play, if he's on the field, which quarterback would you rather have, Watson or Lamar Jackson, even though Lamar Jackson does have an MVP to his name? So who would you put out there? And what is your top 10 Packers list? All right. So you don't have to put them in order if you, I'd prefer it if you put them in order, but because it makes it a little bit more interesting. But I don't know. Like my 2 through 10, I'm still kind of all in the air. Surveyor, you and I are pretty darn close. You and I are pretty darn close in our top 10 here. Let me bring it back up what you had there. I think we had the same players besides Crosby. I did not have Crosby in my top 10. But everybody else, we had the same. Not in the same order, but same players. So, I'll tell you right now, my next three, so just like the 3 on the outside of the top 10, I had Alan Lazard, in no particular order, Alan Lazard, Rasul Douglas, and Eric Stokes. I had those outside my top 10. Number 10, I had Preston Smith. And I think his value is even greater this year because of the depth at outside linebacker, which kind of surprises me about your top 10 there, C-Bomb. You don't have either Rashawn Gary or Preston Smith, none of the pass rushers on there. But I've got Preston Smith at number 10. I did go with Adrian Amos at number 9. I think he is an underrated safety across the league. Is he a dynamic playmaking safety out there? Is he like an old school Ed Reed? No, he's not an old school Ed Reed. He's not a flashy type of player. but he's pretty darn consistent back there. So I've got him. I think he's a little bit underrated. So I've got him at number 9. I wanted to kind of put Campbell a little bit higher, but it's just kind of how it played out here. I mean, you have a reigning All-Pro inside linebacker on your team here, and you probably put him a little bit higher. But I got him at number 8 right now, Devondre Campbell. Number 7, I put Aaron Jones on here. I think Aaron Jones is going to be even more critical to this offense with no Devontae. And I really thought about putting A.J. Dillon in this top 10 too. He'd probably be in my next group of, with the Stokes and the Douglas and the Lazard and all that stuff. I really thought about putting A.J. Dillon because I think A.J. Dillon is going to have a bigger role this year. But right now I've got Aaron Jones at number 7. I've got Rashawn Gary at number 6. I mean, pass rushers are a premier position in the NFL. And I think Rashawn Gary is going to skyrocket this year. He has gotten better every single year that he has come into the league. Even when he was drafted, and a lot of fans didn't like the pick, they didn't want him there. But he has gotten better. And I think now with his defense, with other players kind of surrounding him, because that was like the big thing that Rashawn Gary is going to have to combat this year is that opposing offenses are going to have to pay more attention to him. So that's the one thing that Rashawn Gary is going to have to, maybe adjust a little bit, that he's going to get more attention paid to him. But what I think helps him this year is more players added to this defense, whether it's Walker or the defensive line help, secondary. He's got other people there to help him out. But make no mistake about it, that offensive line, they're going to be looking at 52. 52 again, if you want to go throw it back to Clay Matthews there. So I think Rashawn Gary, even though he's going to get more attention paid to him from opposing offenses, he has gotten better every year. And I think he is primed to really make a statement year this year. So I've got Rashawn Gary there. I've got Kenny Clark. I think Kenny Clark is at number 5. I think he's going to have he's another player that he's established himself as a good player, as a great player, as one of the better defensive linemen in the league. But he has been a defensive lineman that hasn't gotten a lot of credit. He's been doing a lot of the dirty work. Doesn't pad the stats with sacks. He's not an Aaron Donald type of player. So he doesn't get all those attention. Doesn't get, the popularity because of, sacks and all that sort of thing. But with the depth that they have added to this defense, I think Joe Barry and the Packers can get a little bit more creative, can have a little bit of flexibility with number 97, maybe move him around the defensive line a little bit, and maybe his sack numbers will go up. But again, you want to talk about one of the more underappreciated players across the league? It's Kenny Clark. So I got him at number 5. I have Jair at 4. I did think about putting him at number 2. And this is, again, I could, honestly, in the next 10 minutes, I might change it. But just straight off the top of my head, I had Jair at number 4. One of the best corners in the entire league. If Stokes takes another step this year, he had a great rookie season. But in his sophomore year, if he follows that up with another great season, and Rasul Douglas wasn't a one-year wonder and he turns out to be a great corner, this trio of corners is the best in the league. And it starts with Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander can take away half the field. He's got that ability to do that. You can line him up outside, inside, a versatile corner. He can come off the edge. He can blitz and go after the quarterback. We've seen that. He's a versatile corner. a guy that you could do different things with. He's not one of those corners like, that's just plays one particular side of the field and that's where he's at. No, you don't have to do that with Jair. You could put Jair in that slot, on that outside, rush him off the edge, do whatever. The versatility is the big thing with Jair Alexander. See, I'm kind of talking to myself and putting him at number 2 already, for crying out loud. And then this might be a little bit of a hot take here, but I've got Bakhtiari at 3. And again, I'm assuming that, all health is great in that. When he's healthy, he's one of the best offensive linemen in the league, one of the best left tackles in all of football. At number 2, though, I did put Elton Jenkins there. I love the man's versatility. I love Elton Jenkins' versatility. Name me another offensive lineman that can play at an all-pro, Pro Bowl level at tackle, left tackle, right tackle, guard, and center. Every position on the dang offensive line. Name me another one that can do that. There's not many. Green Bay's got to figure out Rashawn Gary and Elton Jenkins' contract this coming offseason, this year, next coming offseason. Rashawn Gary, they have a little bit of a luxury because they have the 5th-year option with him, not so much with Elton Jenkins because he's a second-round pick. They don't have that 5th-year option. Elton Jenkins is going to cost a lot of money, and he has proven he can play and be a starter at every single position on that offensive line. But I guarantee you, his agent is going to be asking for left tackle money because he's done it. He's proven he can do it. The versatility that Elton Jenkins brings to this group is unreal. To be able to have a guy like that like, hey, you know what? We're missing our left tackle. Put Elton Jenkins in there. Dude's going to give you a Pro Bowl performance. Hey, we're missing our center here. Put Elton Jenkins right there. You're going to get a Pro Bowl performance. Missing right tackle? No problem. Dude's a baller. Gets it done. Love me some Elton Jenkins. And of course, Aaron Rodgers there. So, I don't know. I still want to put Jair at number 2, but I love the versatility of Jair and Jenkins. Those are the 2 things right there. Jair and Jenkins, versatility, baby. Guys that can play all across the field, different positions within their group. Jair outside, inside, blitzing off the edge. Jenkins outside, inside, don't matter. I'm going to give you an all-pro type of performance over there. And that actually is kind of what hurts Jenkins too, and probably if it even matters, but it probably hurts Jenkins in terms of popularity amongst NFL people or fans. Is like, well, what position does he play? I don't care. Dude's a baller and play any dang position at a high level. I'll sign up. Give me that guy any day of the week. Love me some Jenkins. All right, we got to take a quick break. Keep your picks coming. Also, don't forget, we've got, opening of the fair, best parts of the fair. We'll make that our a turn 2 question. Give me your top 2 things about going to the fair, okay? Whether it's the food, whether it's a ride, whether it's the games, your top 2 things to do at the fair. Or maybe you were like me as a kid and, you always, like, during the school year, you turned in, like, an art project, and looking for that ribbon. That's when you found out. Still upset I got second place in my solar system. I never got first place, but that's neither here nor there. So, top 2 right there. Send those babies on over. We'll take a quick break. Get to some more texts. Brewers, Twins. Let's get some series predictions going on here, too. Split, Twins sweep, Brewers sweep. What do you got for me? Hit me up with some texts. 715-830-1912. We'll be back in just a few minutes. You heard it right there. Greenwood Chippewa Falls stores for River Country Co-op. Go in, walk in, sign up to win to win or for a chance to win some gas, free gas over there. So your stores for this week, the next couple days, head on in there, grab some snacks, some beverages, load up, and then put your name in the box there to win some free gas. It's Greenwood and Chippewa Falls stores this week, River Country Co-op. Okay? Go ahead and do it. So if you're driving through or you're from those areas, head on in there and fill out that form and sign up. All right, we got Morgs popping in here in just a minute, but before we do that, we'll take a really quick phone call here this morning. Good morning, C-Bomb. How are you doing?
Good morning, Al Capitano. Long time no talk. How are you doing today, my brother?
Doing well. How are you?
I am well. I was going to give you a quick grind my gears and then talk about my top 10 a little bit, but we'll see where the time goes. But River Country Co-op, that's part of my gripe of the day here. And the reason I say that, I love me some River Country Co-op because what my complaint is the quick trip. This whole pay at the pump crap, I can't stand it. So I go right down by the Doododge there, and that's my new fill-up location.
All right, look at that. Attaboy. Good to hear that.
And the second grind my gears. So number one, River Country Co-op, great gasoline, great little snacks, good. Get all your beverages there. My number two is anybody who does not agree with the surveyor and myself with corn dogs at the top of the fare list. That's grinding my gears. It goes corn dogs, then funnel cakes.
Corn dogs and funnel
corn
cakes.
dogs and funnel cakes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's your top two right there?
That's my top two.
Okay. Mini corn dogs or just the big ones?
Oh, no, you got to get the big corn dogs.
Do you put a little mustard on there or ketchup or anything?
I'll put ketchup and mustard. I like a little bit of either, but I like me a little bit of ketchup on there, but mustard as well.
Got it. Yep. All right. I like it. All right. Explain yourself with this top 10.
So my top 10, and I want to preface this a little bit by saying I think the front office has done an awesome job at building this roster, and they're building this roster to win post Aaron Rodgers. So, I mean, I think if you look at this roster, and that's why you'll see some of the names on there, obviously Aaron Rodgers is still the straw that stirs the drink, but they're building themselves like the Tennessee Titans that are contenders with Ryan Tannehill, who is on the scrap heap in Miami, for crying out loud. So I think with our roster, the offensive line, I didn't name a pass rusher because we do have depth there. If one of those guys goes down, I don't think it's detrimental to the offense yet or to the team, but it will hurt. But I think guys like Elgin Jenkins, easy for me to say, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, that running game is going to be the key to this offense, especially with the lack of depth in the wide receiver room. I had Lazard 8, but it could have been Sammy Watkins too. We don't know where he's going to fall in this depth chart. But I think Tunyon coming back, if he can be 100%, I think he cracks that top 10 because he's going to be an outlet for Rodgers. But this team is going to be built on solid defense and running the football, and I think those running backs are going to be absolutely key, the health of those two, for the success of this team.
I'm going to grind my gears with you now, C-Bomb.
I love it.
What kind of depth do they have at outside linebacker?
Well, they have more depth. You talked about it. Preston Smith. They got
Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary. Then who else?
Well, they've got what's his name? They keep
that
good.
That good that you can't think of his name, huh?
No, I'm drawing a blank right now. But they've been talking him up in
Tippa.
Oh, huh?
Tippa?
No, nope.
Randy Ramsey?
Give me another name. No, I don't have the roster in front of me. I'd name his name in a second. I'm drawing a blank right now. But anyway, I think they're good at outside linebacker. I put Kenny Clark in there. I think the corners are going to be huge. The linebacker depth as a whole has gotten better, especially with that kid they drafted in the middle to go with Campbell. I think they're going to be solid at linebacker. I think the team.
I think inside, but I'm talking just the edge rushers, just the outside.
Okay. Now I got to open up I don't have my computer in front of me like you. I'm at a disadvantage. Let me get my roster because I'm drawing a blank. But yeah, I can see where you could disagree with that. But I really do think the strength of this team is going to be running the football and stopping the run. I don't think it's going to necessarily be the pass rushers, and I think they do have enough depth there. So you can grind your gears against me, and time will tell. Let's just hope that we're deep everywhere and we're both right.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. All right, C-Bomb, I got to let you go. So you have a good day, okay, sir?
Great talking to you again, my brother. You have a great day and a great week.
You got it. There you go. There's a little C-Bomb right there. So the rest of you can bring us or send us your top 10 Packers right now. Who is on that list for you? Text it to us, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Or you can just comment on the video stream if that makes things easier for you, or Twitter or Facebook. Do that. We'll get back to some more picks coming up a little bit later on. Right now we've got, it's about 50-50. Actually, okay, it's like the majority is picking a split with this series between Brewers and Twins. Good morning, Morgs.
What do you have, Cobra Kai shirt on?
I do.
Hey, look at that.
Yep.
Representing.
My other shirt I wanted to wear today for you is in the wash.
Oh, what was it?
Stranger Things.
Oh, did you finish?
Yes.
Thumbs up?
Yeah. I thought they were done though, but they're not.
No, apparently they're coming back for more.
Yeah.
I thought this was the end like series finale too.
So when it ended, I was like, wait a minute. I thought they were done.
Yeah.
But
no, they're coming back.
All
yeah.
right.
Speaking of coming back, welcome. Did you have a little good vacation hiatus time away?
It was okay.
Okay.
It was okay.
I have to say, though, congrats. In case nobody has seen this or in case you didn't mention it, you made a pretty hefty donation to Roosevelt for some playground upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome cause. Love that for the kiddos. Put yourself back on a playground. What's your go-to? Are you a swings guy, teeter-totter guy?
Swings.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay, so what is Hutzy like now?
He's a slide guy.
Okay, and this is why I say this. Two things. And I remember this so vividly in elementary school, and maybe other people had this as well. If you take your kiddos to the park these days, they don't seem to put the metal slides in the sun like they used to. I swear to you, when we were going down some of these slides in elementary school, we called it the bumpy slide. In my memory, it was like basically going down a roller coaster, but as an adult, it's probably not quite as severe. That thing sat and just baked in the sun.
Yeah.
And as soon as we ran out there for recess, the first person that went down on it instant blisters and burns. I swear it on the back of the legs. But
Ugh.
Siggy's go-to, and this makes me barf just thinking about it. Maybe you guys have kids that do the same thing. Whatever that death machine of nausea is that goes around and around and around and around, and the kids push themselves on it. And like one kid gets the job of taking it and pushing it around, and then they hop on at the end, and then they all just spin in a circle.
Yep.
I could puke just watching. That thing looks
I know what you're talking about. I don't know what that's
a complete disaster.
Yeah.
But you're not you were never the kid that went for that.
No, I was the kid that was on the swings, and then you jump off as you hit like the high point.
Yeah.
So
Underdogs.
Yeah.
You go, woo.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now, were you ever a hit the ground and bruise the knees kind of person, or were you always solid on the landing?
Oh, I was solid.
Every time?
Every time.
Well, what was the deal on playgrounds that had those straight board swings? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Not the rubber ones that were
rubber
like into
ones were the best ones.
They were. Those were the ones you could get some air and leap off. But the ones that were just that straight board, like you might as well have wrapped the chain in barbed wire. Those weren't fun.
No.
And you couldn't really get a good pump on it when you were flying anyway.
That's the one thing I got to get down with Hudson yet. Pumping the legs.
Oh, yeah. You got to get that. That's how you get the air, and then you can fly.
Yep.
Yeah, that's where the moves are.
All right, Marks. We'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?
It's a date.
All right, we got 1 hour in, 2 more to go. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire. W286CK Eau Claire. Sports.
This Grind My Gears Tuesday. What's grinding your gears, peeps? Hit us up with some text. 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Or you can also hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/Kasper Sports, Twitter @DANKASPER. Otherwise, you got the YouTube live video stream that's up and rolling as well. Coming up, we'll get back to some more Green and Gold chat as well. I'm looking for your predictions for Brewers Twins. It looks like the majority of you so far on the texting line going with the easy split, going just 2 games between the Brewers and the Twins. Majority of you going with just the 1-1, going with a split right there. So we got Jason Alexander on the mound tonight for the Brew Crew. He's going to be going up against Josh Winder over there, 4-2 with a 3.12 ERA. Really no experience. There is no experience according to the pitching matchup here on MLB.com. So a little bit of an uncommon opponents between these two ball clubs here. If we look at Jason Alexander, last time we saw him was on the 5th, going up against the Cubbies, picked up the loss, 5 1/3, giving up 6 earned runs, couple walks, couple strikeouts, 8 hits. If we look at Josh there for the Twins, he his last 2 outings pretty darn solid. 28th against Cleveland, he picked up the win, going 6 innings, giving up just 4 hits, no earned runs. And then on the 5th, day after 4th of July, picked up another win against the White Sox where he went 5 innings, giving up just 2 earned runs on 7 hits. So see if the Brewers could kind of calm him down there a little bit and get those bats going here. Both pitchers, they don't have high strikeout numbers. So little ground ball action. Hopefully Brewers can manufacture some runs tonight. G-Man's picking the sweep over JR's Twins. Hopefully you're right there, big boy. Hopefully you're right. Hey, we're looking for a few more. So a couple of you have said you're in. But next week, if anybody's interested, we might be doing a listener all-time Major League Baseball draft. So similar to a couple years ago when we did the football version, the NFL version, we'll just make this a couple days worth. All-time Major League Baseball draft. We'll be drafting position players, DH, starter, relief pitcher, closer. Anybody's interested, hit me up with a text, okay? We'll see if we get enough or how many, and if we get like a boatload, we might have to do like top 12 or something like that. But if interested, hit me up with some texts or tweets or Facebook so that way I can keep track of everybody. But we got a few so far, so if we get a couple more, we'll do this thing. We'll do it, okay? Well, let's do some sports nuggets here this morning. Not a whole lot here, but in 1901, Cy Young with the Boston Red Sox got his 300th career victory. He ended his career with 511. 1931, a Major League Baseball record for doubles was set by the St. Louis Cardinals and the Chicago Cubs. They combined for a total of 23. 1979 at Comiskey Park in Chicago, Disco Demolition Night led to fans taking the field after a box of disco records was blown up. The White Sox forfeited the second game of the doubleheader to the Tigers due to the condition of the field. 1984, Steve Carlton with the Philadelphia Phillies recorded his 100th strikeout for the 18th consecutive season. So those are just a couple of your sports nuggets for this morning. Not a whole lot there. We were talking a little bit about MLB.com's. They've got every team's biggest trade deadline need. For the Twinnies, they had bullpen help, which if you're a Twins fan, you're probably, I would assume you're probably not disagreeing too much with that, considering your team's got 17 blown saves so far this year. For the Brewers, MLB.com had center field. Milwaukee is still searching for its replacement for Lorenzo Cain, who was designated for assignment last month. The Brewers' top 3 prospects are all outfielders, but they're not close to the majors just yet. Bryce Terang, the team's number 5 prospect, could be used to add an outfielder, as the Brewers have depth at shortstop with Willy Adames and Luis Urias. So my question to you Brewers fans, would you be good if the Brewers used Bryce Terang, their top 5, a number 5 prospect in their farm system, for trade bait for a center fielder now, a starting center fielder now? Or do you think the Brewers should use one of their top outfield prospects? The interesting thing in this is that when you look at the current rankings right now, according to MLB.com, the top 5 Brewers prospects, 4 of the 5 are all outfielders. The top 4 are outfielders. However, none of them are at the AAA level yet. Highest is AA right now. So Bryce Terang is in AAA right now. So would you use him as a piece, if you will, to trade for a center fielder / impact bat? Or would you rather use one of your plethora of younger outfielders but higher rankings in the prospects? Because when I look at, like Bryce Terang, okay, yes, I don't think the Brewers have any plans to move on from Willy Adames in the near future, unless it just becomes so expensive, I guess. But he's got experience playing second base as well. And Colton Wong, I mean, he's not going to be there forever. Would you rather hold on to a Bryce Terang and then you have got an option for a replacement for Colton Wong, or maybe Luis Urias goes over there and plays second? That's why you can trade Bryce Terang, but then you need a third baseman, or could Bryce play third? I don't know. Like, I get it. You've got the depth at the shortstop, but he's got experience playing second. To me, I'm all about going for it. That's the thing. Like, I'm all about going for it this year, but I feel like you've got 4 other prospects here. Your top 4 prospects are all outfielders. You've got another outfielder who's Perez. Granted, he's in single A, but he's another outfielder. I don't know. I know Tyler Black's a seventh ranked prospect. He's a second baseman. I don't know. I know it's kind of like, I don't know. I'm all about going for it, but I guess if I had to look at the long term picture in this thing, I think trade one of the outfielders. Not Garrett Mitchell, though. I'm high on Garrett Mitchell. I like Garrett Mitchell. He came on the scene pretty darn fast. I want to see what he can do. But you know what? If they make a move and they trade one of their minor leaguers for a guy who's going to play right away, I'm not going to complain too much, because I've been one of those that's been saying for this whole season, even last year, the window's now. It's now. You got to go for it. With this pitching staff, with Corbin Burns and Hader and Devin and a couple of those other guys out there, you've got to go for it. The window's now. So I won't complain if they have to trade Bryce Terang to bring in a guy. But they got some depth at that outfield. And, I mean, you look at it, they're going to have to figure out who their long-term fixture is, probably in a couple of those spots there. For sure, center field. And who knows about with like Christian Yelich. I mean, Christian Yelich isn't going anywhere, but I don't think he would transition into a DH type of yet, but I don't know. They've got some decisions that they got to make, but I feel like the Brewers are going to make a move for an outfielder before the deadline on August 2nd. I would agree. I agree with MLB.com's biggest need is center field for the Brewers. 100%. I feel like that's the biggest need. They've got to get, not just for the defense, it's got to be somebody who also brings a bat. Somebody who brings a consistent bat to that lineup. There's names out there. You go to I think it was CBS Sports this morning had an updated, top 30 MLB trade deadline candidates. And I was going through it earlier this morning, and they've always got the possible fits next to them. And it's the same teams for like the top ones. I didn't find a possible fit for the Brewers, I think, until, let me see if I can scroll through this really quick, until, I'm at 16-0, 17. No, I mean, the Cardinals are all over the place on a lot of these guys, but the Brewers didn't finally show up, and I know it doesn't really mean anything, but they didn't really show up until, 25. And they've got outfielders on this thing. I mean, Brian Reynolds, outfielder, possible fits, Giants, Yankees, Cardinals. It's like all the Yankees are like almost on every single player. Luis Castillo, the Reds pitcher, Yankees, possible fits. Mets, Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox. It's the same teams. Sean Murphy, Rays, Astros, Giants, almost every other contender. Wilson Contreras, Astros, Rays, Giants. Ian Happ, Cardinals, Yankees, Red Sox. Garrett Cooper, Red Sox, Astros, Mets. The kid from the Royals, Yankees, Red Sox, Cardinals. Well, I mean, come on now. Let's be a little bit realistic here, people. Brewers need a dang outfielder too. Some of these outfielders, I think those are pretty darn good fits. Now, is that actually going to happen? Who knows? But yeah, I would be all about Brewers bringing in another outfielder, specifically a center fielder. But he's got to have a bat, not just for the D. It's got to have a bat. And then probably the second one, I would say, more bullpen help. The starter one's kind of tricky because they keep saying Freddie Peralta is going to be back. And he was in the clubhouse the other day, and he said he felt like he could pitch the next day, but a lot of other players are going to say that. But the big question mark is like Freddie Peralta. Like, if you're confident, like 100% confident the guy is going to be back, then is starting pitcher a big need for you? Because when you get to the postseason, you might have that 4-man rotation. You have Freddie, you have Corbin, you have Woody, Eric Lauer. If there's still some question marks whether Freddie is going to be able to come back, then maybe you look at a starting pitcher. But other than that, I think it's center fielder and more bullpen help and a bat. But if you can kill two birds with one stone with that center fielder and that bat, try to get after that. More text coming in. Going with the split between the Brewers and the Twins. Going with the easy out. Going with the easy pick. That's my pick too. I'm going to go with the split. I hope the Brewers sweep it. No offense, Twins fans, but I'm going with a split. Going back to Steve's text over an hour ago, right at the opener, where he asked about Steve from Eau Claire. The Brewer win over the Twins as sweet as a Packers win over the Vikings. Me, no. I just don't feel like there isn't that rivalry between Brewers and Twins, and like it is Packers Vikings. Big thing is they're not in the same division. They're not even in the same league, and we see them just a few times every year. A little bit of a border battle action, but I would love to see a Twins and Brewers World Series. I don't not like the Twins. I feel like if you're a Brewers fan, maybe for a lot of people, their second favorite, maybe more so in this area, in the Valley here. If you're a Brewers fan, maybe your second favorite team's the Twins, and vice versa. I feel like Twins fans, majority for some, I don't want to speak for everybody, but some will vote or cheer for the Brewers in the other league, and Brewers fans will cheer for the Twins in the other league if they had to or wanted to. But you don't get that with Packers Vikings. No, nothing. I don't care if it's. I'm one of those. I know some people are like, going for the division if it's in football, like when the Vikings and the Eagles were in the NFC Championship. I know a couple people were like, I'm going for the division, NFC North. I'll go for the Vikings. NFC North. No, sir. Nah. If it ain't Green Bay, nobody else in that division I will cheer for. Nope. I don't care. When I was in college and it was the Bears and Colts in that Super Bowl, I had a couple of roommates saying, I'm going to go with the Bears just for the division and all that. No. I can't do that. Nope. Get out of there. Don't want to see it happen. Don't want to see it happen. Maybe I'm in the minority in that thing, but I don't know. All right. I got some more picks for the turn 2 question. We've got going with curds and nachos. The turn 2 question is top 2 things to do at the fair. Not just food. It could be the games and the rides and all that sort of stuff too. We got curds and nachos. We've got Ferris wheel and curds. We've got corn dogs and snow cones. Okay, that's a good one there. Another one is lemonade and curds. Okay. Ferris wheel and tilt-a-whirl. Goldfish game. Oh, yep. Got to do that every year with the kiddo. Did it last year. A lot of good ones over there. So keep them coming. Top 2 things to check out at the fair. Doesn't have to be the food. It could be rides or all that sort of stuff. But everybody talks about food. Got to talk about food when it's fair. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll chat a little bit more green and gold as we approach training camp with Joe DeGuano. He's coming up in just a few minutes. Put it on your calendars on July 16th. That's this Saturday, July 16th, at the Restore, Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. They've got their sale for those fence parcels, those fence dog-eared picket fence parcels over there. Really cheap too. So if you've been looking at maybe adding a fence to your yard, whether it's to give you a little privacy or to keep the young ones in that yard of yours, take advantage of this awesome sale that's going to be going on at the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore this Saturday only. So make sure you get over there early and pick up those fence parcels over there, because we all know not everybody has a neighbor like Wilson from Home Improvement, right? Sometimes we just want to hide from the neighbors and get a little privacy back there. So put it on the calendar this Saturday, July 16th. It's the Restore, Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore at 145 North Claremont Avenue, right here in Eau Claire. All right, let's first a little shout out to our good friend Philly fan Dave. Speaking of fair foods, people could come and see me at the law enforcement booth at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. Stop by and say hi. Look at you, Philly fan Dave. Are you going to be there all day or every day? You're going to be doing? You guys do the bike state patrol bikes, right? You guys doing that this year? Let me know. Okay, so keep those picks coming. Let's talk a little bit more green and gold here this morning with Joe Zaguano. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. I got a little bit of a frog in my throat, but I'm excellent. I want to ask you, though, how was vacation? I saw some golf pictures. I saw some family pics. It looks like you had a wonderful vacation.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Can't complain too much about it. So good to get away for a little bit.
Well, are the batteries recharged, and are you ready for football? Because it's just around the corner, Captain.
It is. We're getting, 2 weeks away from training camp, starting 2 weeks from tomorrow. Getting into the fantasy football mood here a little bit. So it's starting to hit, man. It's starting to hit me a little bit. I'm liking it.
This is a good thing. And I'm glad that you took the vacation when you did, because now the batteries are recharged and you're ready for 2-a-days and you're ready to get this thing moving on to another football season. I'm telling you, I'm getting excited. I am getting excited. July for me is always, all right, it is time. That's when you just start thinking through this thing and you look through it, and we're about right now 4 weeks away from my son's first game. They've got a scrimmage in mid-August, and so it's happening, man. It is football season in my book.
Yeah, and you posted up some pictures of the corners, and we were kind of talking a little bit about Jair and some of the corners a little bit earlier in the program. But let me ask you this question. You got Eric Stokes coming into his sophomore year, had a great rookie year. You have Rasul Douglas, who, comes in out of nowhere, earns himself a huge payday. Which one are you a little bit more intrigued? Because I'm sure there's going to be some people talking about, okay, was Rasul Douglas a one-year wonder? Which, it's in the back of my mind here a little bit too. Can he repeat what he did last year? Eric Stokes, sophomore year, we kind of talk about sophomore, rookies maybe hitting a little bit of a sophomore wall here. Do you have any type of concern regarding those two with Stokes and Douglas this year?
It's interesting. I wouldn't say concern, but I've always said that when there's more tape on a player, and when you can see a body of work and you can glean some things from that, that's when that player needs to take that next step up. And of course, Rasul Douglas, real find for the Green Bay Packers scouting department, and Eric Stokes, another real find for the Packers scouting department. Both of them had fantastic years last year, but yeah, this is when they need to step up. Concern, no. And here's my thing with Eric Stokes. Let's just talk Stokes first. Stokes reminds me a lot of Sam Shields. And by that I mean this. You can make up for a lot of mistakes as a defensive back when you've got 4.3 speed. All right? And everyone remembers Sam Shields. Sam Shields coming out was actually a converted wide receiver. And there were a lot of times that he made mistakes in coverage, but was able to cover up for them because of the speed. Eric Stokes, the same thing. And I think the biggest thing for Stokes this year is getting his hands on the ball and keeping the ball. He did a nice job last year with pass deflections. He needs to turn some of those into interceptions now. And so you look at that, and then you look at Rasul Douglas. And I think the thing that stood out for me with Rasul is the fact that it was very obvious from that Cardinal game and moving forward that the guy watched film. And he talked about that with the interception against the Cardinals to win the game. He said he remembered that call from the practice squad. And so if he continues to do that, I think his key to his game is going to be film study and preparation. I think, again, Eric Stokes, the speed is going to make up for a lot of mistakes. So not concerned, but you definitely want to see that second-year jump for the two of them. And again, then you start looking at this Packers secondary and you ask yourself, all right, who's going to be behind them? And you always start looking at the depth chart, Cameron. And really, truly, I started looking at that this morning because you ask yourself, you're like, all right, who is the guy behind them? And so you look at a guy like, is it Shermar Jean Charles? Is it Tavion Nixon, who they picked up from the Raiders? Is it Kavion Ensa? And so you start asking yourself, where's the rest of the depth? And so that's what I'm looking at right now, too. Behind those three, who's going to be playing this year? Who's making that 53?
You know, a lot of talk about who's going to be playing the star position, that nickel position, and a lot of people assume that it would be Jair Alexander, a little bit with his height in that. We saw Rasul Douglas playing it and some of the OTAs and mini camps there. I wonder, you know, with the emergence of Douglas and Stokes, could we perhaps even see Jair Alexander blitzing a whole lot more and going after the quarterback, which we've seen once in a while here? Could you see that happening?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. I think with Joe Barry's defense this year, I think you're going to see almost a game plan as far as who's going to be playing that star position in the slot. And then it depends on what the other team is throwing out there. If they've got two guys, let's just use the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, they've got Thielen and Jefferson, and you could see a situation there where Jair gets matched up with Jefferson all over the field. And so I think you're going to see that type of scheme where you're not going to be able to predict that, yeah, it's always going to be Douglas in the slot or it's always going to be Jair in the slot. I think Joe Barry is going to mix and match and basically come up with individual roles and game plans. You might even see Darnell Savage in some games rotate down to that slot position. And so I think when you've got those types of mix and match types of situations, and you and I have talked about this with the defensive line now, and you and I talked about it with the linebacking core. Now you've got it with the secondary where you can start moving guys around. I think the more you can do that, the harder it's going to be for OCs to coordinate against this Packer defense.
You know, we've talked about assistant coaches off and on, a lot of it regarding the offensive side of the ball and Stenovich and that. But, I mean, when we look at this secondary, especially the corners in the last couple of years, just how crucial has Jerry Gray been to this defense and these young corners?
You know, I remember you and I talking about that Jerry Gray signing. And again, when LaFleur put this staff together, it was a pretty green staff, all right? There was a lot of inexperience in his positional coaches. And the Jerry Gray move by the Green Bay Packers, former defensive coordinator, I think it does go undervalued and underappreciated, at least to the general public. I think the work that he's been able to do, and you're taking a real raw corner with Eric Stokes, and you made him into a really nice pro in 1 year. And when you look at the attention to detail and the technique and those types of things, yeah, I think Jerry Gray, big part of that defense. And you're right. We focus on the job that Stenovich has done with the offensive line, and we look at the job that maybe Luke Getsky got over the years and those types of guys. Yeah, I think you got to give Jerry Gray a lot of credit for where this Packers secondary, especially the cornerbacks, are today. And really, when you talk about the secondary, one of the more underappreciated players in the NFL, I think, is Adrian Amos, and I think he is a top probably 4 or 5 safety in the NFL. And again, when you've got guys like that in the back end, you can make up some mistakes in the front end with your cornerbacks if you've got somebody there protecting the box or protecting the deep third or the deep half of the field, whatever you have. And so, yeah, hats off again. And again, I just think LaFleur has done a really nice job, going back to the coaches, getting guys that can coach up. And I think that's a big, big talent from an NFL positional coaching standpoint.
I know, Jerry Gray, I think it was a couple of years ago, he kind of talked about Darryl Green and using him as a comparison. And, I just look at Jair Alexander. They're similar type of bodies, 5'10", 5'9". We know Jair's got speed. We know Darryl Green never lost his speed. He probably still runs a 4.40 for crying out loud right now. But, I mean, when we see a Darryl Green, if you remember how Darryl Green played the position, and, I mean, he was an outside corner too. I mean, do you think that's what Jerry Gray envisions Jair Alexander, and how to use Jair Alexander is what he saw and what he did with Darryl Green back in the day?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities, and you always try to glean something from players of today by comparing them to players of the past. And I think there's some truth to that. And I think personnel evaluators do that as well, where they say there's a lot of this guy in him and there's a lot of that guy in him. And so, yeah, I think that they do look at that. And I think Darryl Green is a really fair comparison. And you forget, we talk about Eric Stokes' speed. That's another reason why the Packers like Jair Alexander coming out, is because the fact that you've got a guy who can flat out run. And when you can flat out run and play that position, you're going to be in the NFL for a long time. And so, yeah, I think that's a great comparison. And I think it's great to do that from a personnel evaluator standpoint and from a coaching standpoint. Hey, this guy reminds me of that guy, and I can use him in this way. And that goes back to Jerry Gray's experience. When you've got the guy that has experience back there, he's going to be able to go into the mental Rolodex and basically say, you know what, this is how we used him back in the day. This is how we used him here. Let's use him this way now here.
Joey D joining us, chatting a little green and gold. You mentioned Adrian Amos with the safety position. How big of a year is this, though, for Darnell Savage at the other safety spot?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, they picked up the fifth-year option, and this is a huge year for him. And you've seen flashes and you've seen glimpses from this guy that he's the real deal back there. And then other times it's just not there. And so, yeah, this is a huge opportunity for him, especially with the Packers picking up that first-round fifth-year option on him. So, yeah, he needs to step up and he needs to be more consistent. And again, when you flash, everyone in the NFL can flash. What you got to do is, and they use the term stacking plays. And when you're stacking plays, that means you're having good play after good play after good play, and eventually you're stacking games then. And so that's what Darnell Savage needs to do, is he needs to stack some games, because right now Green Bay's looking at, okay, who are the next guys we got to get to long-term deals? Obviously, I think Rashawn Gary's up there to get to a long-term deal. Alan Lazard is up there to get to a long-term deal. You got to figure out what you're going to do with Elton Jenkins coming up soon. And so is Darnell Savage going to be one of those core guys, or is he a guy that maybe doesn't make the cut when you're looking at extending players? So, yeah, huge year for him with that 50-year option.
Yeah, and, you throw in Adrian Amos in there too. Like, if Darnell Savage, if there's something where it doesn't work out, it might make you. It might have to force Green Bay to hold on to Adrian Amos with that contract.
100%. I mean, look, it's all a trickle down. Well, and you saw it last year with Zadarius Smith, and then it was Preston Smith who stepped up, and it was Rashawn Gary who stepped up. And so you said, okay, Zadarius, you're not the guy, and so we're going to run with Preston and Rashawn. And so, yeah, there's always a trickle down. So if Darnell Savage doesn't make the cut, yeah, then you've got to look at Adrian Amos as a contract extension opportunity. And so, yeah, it's an amazing continuous game of dominoes or puzzle or whatever you want to call it, where you're continually putting these pieces in and out of the lineup and in and out of the roster, and you're trying to put together the best 53. But yeah, I from a potential standpoint, Darnell Savage has always had it. From a production standpoint, still way too inconsistent for me.
Who has the better resume to get into the Hall, Mike Holmgren or Sterling Sharp?
Oh, boy. I'm going to say Sterling Sharp. And I just look at what he did in the NFL in a very short amount of time. And I really am hoping that guy gets what he deserves, and that's a spot in the Hall of Fame. So I go with Sterling on that one. And I just think you look at what he did, and And he was really, in my opinion, transformational. When you try to find players in different eras, I think Sterling was one of those guys that was transformational. And so I think I think it's a travesty right now that he's not in. I do think he gets in. When you compare his receiving numbers against guys like Lynn Swan, for example, who's in the Hall of Fame, and Michael Irvin, who's in the Hall of Fame. When you compare numbers to numbers, stats to stats, there's no question Sterling deserves to get in. It's almost like when John Lynch got in, you just knew Leroy Butler had to get in because Butler had better stats and better production. And so I think it's the same thing with Sterling Sharp. Now, when you compare him to some of his contemporaries that are in the NFL Hall of Fame, it's no question he deserves to be in.
Do you think both will get in eventually?
I do. Yeah, I think Holmgren's got a pretty good resume. I think Sharp is going to get in before him. I think Holmgren winning another Super Bowl would have put him over the top, but not getting that other W, I think, is a blemish on his record. I will say this about Holmgren, though. If he would have been patient and if he would have stayed in Green Bay, he and Brett Favre would have won at least one more Super Bowl together, probably two.
I feel, with the Holmgren thing, I always felt like if Bill Cowher's in, which he's in, Mike Holmgren should be in.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't be in. Absolutely agree with that. I'm not saying he shouldn't be in, but again, it's interesting because it was known at the time that there was a little bit of a rift happening with Wolf and Holmgren, and so I just think if Holmgren though would have stayed the course, because remember, when Mike Sherman got on board, it didn't take long for Ron Wolf to step down and Sherman becoming head coach and general manager. And so I think it's one of those things that if Holmgren stays in Green Bay, brings another Super Bowl win, it's a sure thing. And I agree with you. I think he should get in eventually. I just think when you compare Sterling against his contemporaries, Holmgren against his, I think Sterling has a better case to get in faster.
Yeah. No, I'm glad to see like Lee Remmel and Jack Venisi get recognized. I went on a little bit of a soapbox yesterday. The one person, though, that I think needs to be recognized a little bit more, and maybe even amongst Packers fans, I hope one day Bob Harlan gets some recognition for what he did for that franchise too.
Oh, 100%. And I think the true Packer fans, I think, appreciate it. Packer fans who were here and have a little bit more history with the team. And yeah, I think 100% that what Bob Harlan did. I mean, I look at what Harlan did to Green Bay. I equate it very much to what Pete Rozelle did to the NFL. And without the TV contracts and everything that Pete Rozelle saw coming down the pipeline and making sure that we're going to split revenue evenly, it's the same thing with Bob Harlan with everything that's happening in the Titletown district, everything that's happened with the renovations to the stadium, the putting together the structure of bringing Ron Wolf in and really defining the org chart in Green Bay that hadn't been defined, I feel, since Vince Lombardi was there. And so, yeah, I think Bob Harlan, I think he gets recognized amongst true Packer fans who have a little bit of a database and a little bit of a knowledge of the team and the history, because what he did for the Green Bay Packers, he's probably, if you had 8 Mount Rushmore places, he's probably one of the 8.
I agree. I completely agree with you. That it gets Wolf, Holmgren, Favre, and White, but it all started with one man first, and it was Bob Harlan. He started that trickle down.
But no question. And again, when you look at the 8 Mount Rushmore heads that transformed this franchise, I think Bob Harlan definitely sits up there.
I agree, buddy. I agree. All right, dude. Hey, appreciate the time as always. A couple weeks away from training camp. We'll see you down there too. So.
Oh, can't wait, my man. Can't wait. Looking forward to it. And again, like I said, the minute the calendar turns from June to July, it's football. And I'm getting ready to go and having a good time, whether it be at the high school level, college level, pro level. I'm ready for this season. I think it's going to be a heck of a season all the way around.
I agree. Well, you have a fantastic week, okay, sir? We'll chat again soon.
All right, brother. Take care, man.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe joining us here for just a few minutes. All right, we got to take a quick break. But again, your top 2 items to do at the fair or eat or whatever opening day at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. What are your top things to do? You go to the fair, like, I'm doing this, or I got to check this out, or I got to ride this, or I got to eat this. We're taking your top 2 for our turn 2 question of the day here. We're taking your predictions for Brewers Twins. So if you want to text those babies on over, you can do that as well. We also, in the first hour, threw out top 10 Packers on this current team right now. If Aaron's number 1, who's number 2? Maybe I'll slim it down. Instead of giving me your top 10, if Aaron's number 1, who's number 2 on the Packers power ranking list, current team right now? Who is that? Think about it. Hit me up with some tweets, Facebook, YouTube, text, all that good stuff. We'll take a quick break, and we'll finish up this second hour here in just a couple minutes.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back after these words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
She tossed the keys on the kitchen table and sank down on the couch in satisfaction. A sip of wine, and Amanda knew she had a good day. She used her noodle and helped a small business grow. A small business run by a small family with small kids that can go to college one day. That's what Amanda had a hand in. And with a quiet smile on her face, she
sounds like, or Mr. Craig Toyson. The Express off to a fantastic start this second half of the season, looking to clinch a playoff spot, off to a 5-1 start. And another former Express player getting called up to the big leagues, going to the show, Cleveland Guardians outfielder Alex Call. Alex Call. So congratulations to Alex getting up there. So, but we'll talk some Express. They're on a little bit of a home stretch here for the next few days here, taking on Duluth. So good chance to get out to the ballpark and cheer on the Express, get loud at Carson Park, get loud in the stadium, and help that team get that clinch that second half championship so they can get to the postseason too. Quick text here. By the way, our good friend Philly fan Dave said that free bike raffle for the kids going on at the Northern Wisconsin State Fair. Dave himself will be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday till 4. Another text here. What I'm looking forward to for the fair, looks like first time texter, you have to go with the extra mayo on the corn dog right before going on the Fireball or the Mega Drop. Nothing like feeling that extra mayo moving around in the gut. Okay. Yeah. Oh, man. Mayo on the corn dog, though, huh? All right. So, yeah, I know mayo is it's a touchy subject for a lot of people. I don't know why. Like, I put it on my sandwiches. I put it on my, but I never used to as a kid because I used to be allergic to eggs, and that was an egg, so I could never have it. But, oh, man, there's a lot of people that said that, or that go back and forth on it quite a bit. I don't want to get into that big debate right now. But also coming up next hour, we'll catch up with RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst from the Zone in Madison, getting a little bit closer to the start of the college football season. So we'll chat with RJ about that. I know he was you guys talked about it a little bit last week with him with USC and UCLA and in the conference, but I'm going to have to ask him because I want to know his thoughts on it. But we'll take a look at that and a bunch of other things on the docket when it comes to Wisconsin Badgers. So we'll take a look at that. No, Johnny Davis, he's in the summer league with the Wizards there too. So, but we'll catch up with RJ. And that good stuff here. Still looking for who do you think is the second best Packer on this team? If Aaron Rodgers is number one, who is number two? Is it Jair? If you had to power rank him, is it Jair? Is it Bakhtiari? Is it Elton Jenkins? Aaron Jones? Sean Gary? Kenny Clark? Somebody else? Who are you rolling with? Surveyor says that man seems to gamble with his life on a weekly basis. A couple more texts here about foods. We've got going with curds and nachos. Curds are a popular one on here. Another one for the corn dogs. Corn dogs and funnel cakes. Those are one of the popular ones right there. We've got another one for looks like. I look forward to the farm animals and the fresh lemonade. Okay. So kind of, all over the place, but the usuals, it seems like, for your top two. No big surprises, I don't think, out there, besides maybe the mayo and the corn dog one. All right, that shot clock's going to cut me off here. So, again, coming up next hour, we'll kick it off with an Eau Claire Express update. With Mr. Craig Toyson. We will chat some things Badgers with RJ Cardinal about 8:20, 8:25 around there. Still looking, though, for your predictions for Brewers Twins in this series. Majority of you going with a split with this 2-game set. Quick 2-game set before they head off for 4 games against the Giants before the All-Star break next week. So your predictions for that. And then who do you think, if you had to power rank it, because everybody's doing top 10 lists right now, who would be the second best Packer on this squad right now? who you rolling with. All right, hit me up with some texts, some tweets at DANKASPER or on Facebook, facebook.com/Kasper Sports. And then, or you can do it on the YouTube video stream. And of course, the texting line, that Shoe Doctor's texting line, always up and at it. All right, 2 in. We only got one more to go. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes to kick off this third hour, talking some baseball, talking some Express. After these quick words.
WAYY Eau Claire. W286CK Eau Claire. Sports Talk 105.1, 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
We have an identification and an update with Taylor County Sheriff's Office receiving reports of what appeared to be a deceased subject lying in a ditch near Black River Bridge in the town of Little Black. That's in Taylor County. The Sheriff's Office investigating the incident has determined 48-year-old Keith Binder of Medford. The findings have indicated the victim had been dead for up to 24 hours. An autopsy scheduled to determine cause of death, but no foul play expected at this time. In other headlines, an Eau Claire man wanted on sex charges was at the center of a high-speed chase in Vernon County. Deputies arrested 37-year-old Aaron Trumbull last week after he tried to speed away from a traffic stop. Trumbull was wanted as part of a sexual assault investigation in Eau Claire County and likely to go back to prison because of that chase and the new case. He was out on probation when he started that chase last week. Looking around the meeting table, Eau Claire coronavirus stimulus money could be going towards transit and new hires at City Hall. With 715 Newsroom coverage, a little bit more about that vote and the American Rescue Plan money, John.
The City Council set to vote tonight on $13.5 million in American Rescue Plan money. A big chunk of that, about $5 million, earmarked to finish work on the new transit hub. There's also plans to hire a new city inspector and a diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator. There's also calls to use some of the money for a warming center and a cooling center. I'm John DeMaster.
Well, when it comes to money from your own wallet, Wisconsin gas prices seem to be a little bit down. AAA yesterday said the average price here in Scotty fell to about $4.43, which is down from the record high that we were seeing. $4.93 was on June 12th. You'll see our flags flying at half staff as Governor Tony Evers ordered the flags to be lowered for murdered Juneau County Judge John Romer. His service is being held today in Boston as the governor's order lasts from sunup until sundown. Police say a convicted criminal broke into Romer's home, shot him to death last month. Romer had retired from the bench, but had sentenced the suspect to prison years earlier on a burglary charge. Some changes on the political stage as we see Wisconsin Assembly Majority Leader Jim Steineke resigning. In January, the Republican announced he wouldn't be running for re-election and then announced yesterday morning he'd be stepping down early on July 27th. Steineke has served as Majority Leader for the last 8 years. And look up, the night sky, a little bit of a show off and something that only happens twice this year. Supermoon time, right, Marky?
A supermoon will be visible on Wednesday, with the moon arriving at its closest point to the Earth for all of 2022. That means the moon will appear to be about 14% bigger than other full moons and 30% brighter. I'm Mark Mayfield.
And back from vacation, behind the mic, ready to do it again. I said, how do you feel, Kasper? Turns out, though, he came back with an attitude that was
appear to be about 14% bigger,
though he claims his smile is
30% brighter.
I don't think so. For Sports Talk 105.1. I'm Morgan McCarthy.
We have a much more comfortable start to the morning, and we'll have a good bit of sunshine to show for it as well before we have a chance at a few pop-up showers later on in the afternoon. Temperatures making the climb to the low 80s. Going into tonight, we clear back out yet again with our lows dipping to the upper 50s, and this will kick off plenty of sunshine over the next couple of days with our highs climbing to the upper 70s and low 80s. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike Dandria.
With Discover, you can redeem your rewards for cash in any amount at any time. Learn more at discover.com/redeem rewards. Terms apply.
Here comes the, y'all don't really worry like that. Yeah. Here comes the, y'all don't really worry like that. Yeah. Here comes the.
Welcome to the Dan Kasper Show.
Passion?
I live and breathe sports. It's my life. It's also a problem.
dedication.
You deserve the best of the best. That's why I grind it out every day to give you the best show possible.
Knowledge.
Cover 2 defense should not have been played in that situation. Stack the box, put 8 guys up there, and dare them to throw it.
Entertaining.
They pay me a little bit to talk, but the swagger, I give them for free.
I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Wisconsin's premier sports talk, The Dan Kasper Show.
Yeah, baby.
Now, let's get it on.
The Dan Kasper Show is on air right now.
What time is it? Dan.
Here's your guy, Dan Kasper.
So light 'em up.
All right, here we go. Final hour on this Tuesday morning. Appreciate you.
That now, I think that's coming up this year. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But the Big Ten's move have always been about dollars, whether people like it or not. And what they're projecting that Big Ten schools will be making anywhere between $80 and $100 million each coming up on their new TV deal. And that's just the TV deal. Once you start adding in bowl game appearances, bowl game wins, NCAA tournament appearance wins, NCAA tournament championships, NCAA tournament appearances in other sports, and all that money then goes into one pot and is distributed evenly across the Big Ten. A lot of, the Big 12 is falling apart because Oklahoma and Texas always wanted more money than everybody else and really didn't see the economic value of spreading the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, you're even seeing, Indiana just got done with a large upgrade to their football facility and all that. So it's helping the conference as a whole. And yeah, adding that, it's kind of funny, the estimates of what Notre Dame is making on that NBC deal and having a light association with the ACC of making $25 million a year. And right now, Indiana is making just under $50 million a year. At what point does Notre Dame put their pride in their back pocket and actually want more money and maybe a shot at becoming a national champion and in the national championship picture. Because I don't think if they decide to stay independent still, I don't think you'll be seeing Notre Dame included, because quite frankly, the SEC and Big Ten at that point don't need to schedule them and don't need to include them in their tournament if that's what it comes to with the two super conferences.
Do you think do you think the Big Ten's done? I know there's talk about maybe adding some more. Was it, Oregon and all that? Now they got other conferences scrambling. I mean, could you see them adding a couple more big time programs? Maybe not for 2023, but in the next few years?
I think it all hinges on what Notre Dame says. If Notre Dame says no to the Big Ten, I think you see the Big Ten move and take Washington, Oregon, Stanford, and Cal. And you then add in the San Francisco market. Seattle is a top 15 market in the nation. I guess the whole state of Oregon. I'm not too sure where like Portland ranks, and then even if Portland's considered, part of the Eugene crowd. I'm not too keen on Oregon geography and or like their TV dealings. So, but yeah, I mean, I think right now it seems odd for Notre Dame to be so standoffish, because every other sport they have is in a conference and they're scattered throughout multiple conferences. The ACC and some of the sports the ACC doesn't support. They're in Big Ten for hockey, then they go all over the place for some of their lesser sports. Everything could be solved by joining the Big Ten. And then it's one of those, even if you want to look at football, some of their most played rivalries now stand outside of Stanford, and the academies are now all in the Big Ten. Traditional rivalries that are played more than Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, USC now. The other one played more is Stanford. You add Michigan in there. That's like, so I think if Notre Dame does decide to join the Big Ten, you add Stanford, Washington, and Oregon. If they say no, you bring in Cal instead of Notre Dame. But the Big Ten's building a pretty strong case for Notre Dame to say yes, and can probably offer more money than any other conference. And I think the only other conference that might be trying to scramble to get them would be the ACC to make them a full member. But who really knows? I think it all hinges on whatever Notre Dame says, and as soon as they give their answer, and they're probably relishing in the fact that all eyes are on them again, so who knows how long time will take for them. But I think until you get that answer, let the Big 12 make their moves, because whenever the Big 10 and SEC do decide to make some more moves, I'm going to go ahead and say the teams will jump at more money than the Big 12 can offer right now. So, yeah, all hinging on Notre Dame. Once we get their answer, I think you see the next few dominoes fall that will allow the SEC and the Big 10 to get to 20 teams each.
Do you think that the Big Ten will be able to hit up that South market, Texas, or anything like that? Or do you think it's going to be too hard with SEC and the Big 12 down there?
It could get harder, but you still have the situation right now where, I mean, there's teams in the Big Ten that don't play a lot of teams in Texas. They don't play a lot of teams in Florida. They don't, they don't play a lot of teams down south there. But yet, I mean, what? There's Thackett, Trapp, something that I'm blanking on the kid's name. He's from Louisiana, and he's a linebacker from Louisiana, and his final three schools are USC, Wisconsin, and Ohio State. He's a four-star linebacker, and it's one of those, how is a four-star linebacker now looking at Alabama, LSU, Clemson, Georgia? I think it all kind of depends on what he's looking for. I mean, Georgia, Wisconsin, 1 and 2, depending on what kind of ranking system you're looking at, is defenses in top 2 defenses in the nation. Wisconsin and Georgia were really putting out a whole bunch of linebackers these past few years, but yet Wisconsin's on the list along with Ohio State and USC rather than a Georgia or an Alabama. So I think you'll still be able to dip into the southern states there and move your way over on into Texas, but it having a conference that's pretty much strictly in the South, it could be a little harder, but you can start dipping your toes back into California, keeping that West Coast open. Wisconsin's had some success now here in the last few seasons getting kids from Hawaii. So, why not open the rest of the West out there? Because now you'll be visible in Los Angeles.
RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst, joining us here this morning, chatting all things college sports and all that good stuff here too. Wisconsin did announce their new Hall of Fame class. Their RJ, a couple Travis Beckham. Was Beckham around when you were with the program? Was that the same time frame?
Yeah. So I think his freshman and sophomore year were my final 2 years, if I'm remembering correctly. But that's a great one. I mean, look at his final 2 seasons. He had 1,800 yards in his final 2 seasons. Like, he was not too far away from being a 1,000-yard receiver in his final 2 seasons each. So love seeing that. Awesome to see him get that recognition. And it's kind of weird now seeing athletes who were either in school while I was there or now after I have graduated start making these lists. Because most of the time you're like, oh, who's that person? Yeah, it sounds like they had a great career. All right.
Yeah, for
But
me
now,
it was Jordan Taylor. I'm like, holy crap, Jordan Taylor's now a Hall of Famer over there.
Right? Yeah. That was 10 years ago already. And you're like, whoa, man. But yeah, so like you're getting some of those people, Hillary Knight on there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's starting to get to where like I know the names because I saw them play rather than I know the names because I've heard the lore of what they did at DW.
Yeah, no kidding. So they started with that. Did I read 91? They started doing this. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think it was 91 or 92, one of those two. But yeah, so I mean, so and most of them have been like 7, 8, 9, 10 people classes. So I mean, you're getting up there in the numbers of people to put in, and I'm pretty sure there's still some from you want to say olden times, but that doesn't sound right. From the past that can probably make their way in there. But yeah, you're starting to get to the point where there's probably some people you can't overlook, which means pretty soon we're probably going to be seeing Sam Decker and Frank Kaminsky be getting in there, and yeah. So we're on the precipice of more recent names getting in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get feeling older and older and older. Hey, somebody wants me to ask you, does this mean that Wisconsin will get baseball back with these moves? What's your opinion?
I mean, it's another 2 schools that have baseball, and you're still the only school without it. I guess it all depends on, where the athletic department sees themselves after these upcoming TV deals, because it really all depends on the dollar now, I think. And you're going to have to add a women's sport of some kind, I think, to maintain Title IX compliance there. So we'll see what all comes up, but it's kind of adding the pressure on. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. I lean more towards no, but it's something I'd like to. And they have the room to build a stadium. They still have some big fields behind University Hospital that only serve right now as open play space and or space for rec sports for like the rec leagues and all that. But yeah, right there next to Goodman Diamond where the softball team plays, I think drop a baseball stadium, or see if you can share some bound time with the Mallards over at Warner Park. So, but yeah, it's something I'd like to see. Feasibly, whether it's going to happen or not, I point more towards no, based off of the history we've seen from the athletic department since baseball was cut.
Yeah, because they have the club team right now, right?
Yep, and the club team, haven't seen them make if they've made the World Series recently or not, but I know during my time and then a little after, they went on a run of making it to the Club World Series, and they were doing pretty good. Now, that doesn't always translate into like elevated to D1 with the players you have there, and then they're going to be competitive. But look at what happened like with Penn State hockey,
right?
And they elevated their club team players to NCAA D1. They held their own, and that was a quick upstart program. And hockey like that, I see USC and UCLA club hockey teams are trying to find donors who will put up money to support them moving to D1 and into Big Ten hockey. So it's kind of happening all over to see what happens. But I'd really like to see baseball come back. But judging by since 1990 what the athletic department stance has been, it's probably still a long ways off, even though I wish it weren't.
Last question here for you. I feel like we kind of talk about this every year, but they've got CBS Sports has the Big Ten coach rankings in football, RJ, and Ryan Day's 1, Harbaugh 2, Kirk Ferentz 3, Paul Chris 4. You agree with that list or no?
I think I'd put Ferentz and Chris above Harbaugh right now, solely because of the consistency they have. You can't really touch Ryan Day in Ohio State, so he's 1. I'd call it a coin flip between Ferentz and Paul Chris. The consistency they have, and people will point to them being in the West, but still, the consistency they've had since they've been really taken over their programs, and Ferentz took over a downtrodden Iowa team and put it back to relevancy. But still, you can count on them 8, 9, 10 win seasons and always vying for the West, just like the Badgers. And there's something to say for that consistency, and that's even when it was legends and leaders, East and West divisions, however you want to split them up. Those two have been doing well, and I'm trying to remember where was Fitzgerald on that. That's another one who's usually a better coach on where he's ranked. And
yeah, he's 6 out here. Last year he was ranked number 2.
Yeah, and that's another one because they had a pretty darn good season and they made the championship game, and yet they had a little bit of a down year. But that's Northwestern. They're going to have those kids that all get there at the same time, and they're going to have like a special season or two and then have a little tail off due to graduation or kids leaving early. And they've had that happen a few times. Last year, I think it was the retirement of Mike Hankwitz as their D coordinator, and a new coordinator stepping in and trying to learn those ropes. I've always said I've worked with Coach Hankwitz while he was at Wisconsin for a couple seasons, and he was really he took Brett Bielema's defense to another level while he was there, and then left for Northwestern during that time as well. And then all of a sudden, Northwestern defense started picking it up and putting out NFL prospects. So he was a big part of that success, and I think some of that had a little bit to do with their fallback last year. But I still think Fitzgerald is one of the top coaches in the conference as well, and I put him right up there with Ferentz and Paul Chris.
Yeah, I was looking at the overall ones when they put all the Power 5. They've got Paul Chris at 14th overall, moving up 4 spots from last year where he was at number 18. So moving up.
Yeah. Yep, and I think that's part of the respect that people see. We Wisconsin every year, and sometimes to be a good coach, that's all you need. Make sure your team's relevant, that they win the championship. Well, win the West and you give yourself a shot to make the college football playoff. Give yourself a shot in the Big Ten championship game, and more often than not, I don't think we've had a college football playoff without a Big Ten team in it yet. So, more often than not, you'll put yourself in one of those 4 spots, ready to play in a game, but still got to make New Year's Day 6 bowls, and when they don't, they're still winning bowls, and it's one of those things. I remember half-empty stadium, and nobody could care what happened in a game during the late 80s and early 90s before Barry Alvarez turned that around. And now all of a sudden, people are upset that Wisconsin's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just one of those. I'm happy to see Wisconsin in the national media year in, year out, and as long as you can do that, not really fall off the face of the earth, you're doing all right. And then hope you have a special season every now and then. And sometimes you're not the have. That's what you can ask for, and hopefully break through at some point. It's part of the business, and part of the business is just staying relevant and winning games so you can keep your job.
Mm-hmm. RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst. Appreciate the time, buddy, and enjoy the rest of the week. And we're getting a little bit closer to camp and all that good stuff, getting ready close to the season, buddy.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. And then we actually have some real stuff to talk about, just like, unlike the summer doldrums where we got to jump from topic to topic and wait for something to hit the headline.
Yep, exactly. You have a good week, buddy. We'll talk soon, okay?
You too. We will talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal. Okay, we got to take our final break here. So last call for your turn 2, your top 2 things to do at the fair, eat, ride, whatever you got to do. Hit us up. Text us 715-830-1912. It's your last chance to make your picks. What nights you going to the fair? Anybody going to the fair too? What nights you going? I'm taking the kid over there one night. All right, last break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
You're listening to The Dan Kasper Show.
She tossed the keys on the kitchen table and sank down on the couch in satisfaction. A sip of wine, and Amanda knew she had a good day. She used her noodle and helped a small business grow. A small business run by a small family with small kids that can go to college one day. That's what Amanda had a hand in. And with a quiet smile on her face, she knows she gets to do that all over again tomorrow. There's something kind of cool about a job where you get to do that. Instead of running around with a briefcase selling people things they don't need, Amanda gets to help small businesses be better businesses, successful businesses. If that itch to help is in you, you might be the next Amanda.
Wrapping things up here on this Tuesday morning of July 12th. Appreciate you all tuning in at various points, or maybe from start to finish, wherever you have been tuning in, however you've been tuning in from. Well, looks like when we did the turn 2 question with the fair thing. Oh, I gotta turn that mic down a little hot right there. Kind of all over the place, but I will say corn dogs and cheese curds seem to be the top food items. We always said, well, it could be anything. Everybody going with the food. Everybody going with the food, with the deep fried food. Making me hungry right now. So, well, if anybody's heading out to the fair, it opens up here in just a few minutes. Gates opening up here a few minutes. Maybe we'll see you out there. Or maybe we'll see you at the ballpark for the Express going on, too. A lot of stuff going on. I got, was it Rockfest, too? So, a bunch of stuff going on. All right, let's cover the bases here this morning. We talked. Looks like the majority are going with that split, going with the easy split between the Brewers and Twins with this 2-game set. So that's where the majority's at. Got a couple going with the sweep for the Brewers and a couple going for the Twins, but majority, say it's like 94% going with that split between the two. So first game tonight, 6:40 is first pitch. Coverage will begin about 35 minutes prior, right here on the radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. And so they got another game tomorrow. That first pitch is at just past noon, 12:10. So a getaway day for the Brewers, because then they got to go to the West Coast for a 4-game set against the Giants before the All-Star break next week. I think we're all kind of, if you're a Brewers fan, we're all kind of hoping that they go into the All-Star break with some momentum here. Win these 2 series. You have to sweep this, do a little mini sweep against the Twinnies, but for sure, I'd be good if they split the series against the Twins, and then if they win that series against the Giants, like take 3 out of 4. Yeah, that's riding in with some good momentum heading into the All-Star break. And then afterwards, it's going to be kind of nuts. So the break's the 18th through the 21st. They'll be back in action on the 22nd, going up against Colorado in Milwaukee for 4 games. And they've got Minnesota coming to town for 2. And then they're on the road. Ooh, this is a little... Oh, I was like, wait a minute, what? I thought they were going to Boston and Arizona, but I have to go other side there, Dan. Boston to finish up the month of July. Then there'll be, Pittsburgh starting on August 2nd, which that's the trade deadline. So it might be a little bit crazy coming up after that All-Star break in terms of like rumors and speculations and what ifs and should they, and not only just for the Brewers, but Major League Baseball as a whole too. Even if you go to like MLB trade rumors, anybody go to the MLBTradeRumors.com. It's a good site if you just kind of want it, like amasses all like the trade rumor reports out there from blogs and articles if you want to see if anything's kind of been rumbling about the Brewers and that. And it's honestly been pretty darn quiet. We've got all these blogs and speculation and articles of who teams should target or what they should do and all that good stuff. But it's kind of fairly quiet in terms of the rumbling, at least in my opinion, I think. So, but should be picking up here fairly soon. Probably right after that All-Star break. Deadline spur action, right? Other stuff. So we're getting closer. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks away from the start of Packers training camp, believe it or not. Kids will be taking their bikes over to Green Bay. 300-pound athletes will be riding them over to practice. We'll be freaking out about whether Christian Watson is like third or fifth on a depth chart, and trying to figure out what does this mean? Why is that person like number 4 and all? I mean, it's starting. It's going to be starting in a couple weeks with that first practice, with those first couple practices. How's the chemistry between Aaron and the youngsters? How's this defense looking? How are the Georgia rookies looking? It's going to be full of excitement and nervousness and anticipation and all that good stuff. It'll be happening in just a couple of weeks. Just a couple of weeks. It's going to be crazy as soon as that starts. And then you got the trade deadline in baseball like the week after. Hopefully a lot of movement. Hopefully a lot of stuff going on. I'm getting excited about fantasy football coming back. I've been trying to go through some of my my big boards. And a question I might post up. I'm going to post it on Twitter. It deals with the running back. So I'm going to throw a question out to you fellow fantasy footballers out there. But you got to follow me on Twitter at DANKASPER. A reminder, if you want to join our fantasy football league for free, just head to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Click on the Nation tab. Sign up there, and then in the coming days, I will send you the link, the private link, to register for our free fantasy football league. More details to come, but if you want a spot, got to sign up on our website, okay? Got a couple other things coming down the wire, too. We got a Survivor League coming. We got a Pick'em League coming. Bunch of stuff happening. Don't forget, next month, we're kicking off the Pro Football Happy Hour show. That's going to be a lot of fun, too. Be a lot of fun. Can't wait for that. But don't come too close. Don't come too fast, fall. I'm still ready here for a little bit of summer action. I'm still ready for a little summer action. I love me my football, but I'm good with my summer too. Let's not get too fast. I want the warmer temperatures in that. All right. DP and the Danettes, they're going to be coming up next. Tomorrow is a Making a Turn Wednesday, so let's get those stock reports in. Okay, get those stock reports in. We'll do a little match game. All that fun stuff. Have a fantastic rest of your day. We'll do it again tomorrow morning, just past 6 a.m. We'll talk to you then.